$2,410. Travelers arriving in England from 33 nations that are on the government's so-called red list will be forced to pay as much as £1,750 or $2,410 to isolate in a hotel for 10 days. They will also be required to test negative for COVID-19 3 times. The UK travel industry has been hit hard by the coronavirus and has had to contend with sudden changes to rules as the government attempts to get a handle on the risk posed by the new variants of the virus. Those new restrictions include travel bans and a possible 10-year jail sentence for people who lie about their location. A lot to digest here. And this morning we have Bloomberg's Emma Chandra joining us from London to help make sense of it all. Emma, thanks so much for being here. First of all, what's the reaction been like? I mean, this is a pretty hefty fine if people violate this.
It is. There are hefty fines involved. I think what has had the most surprised reaction has been that possibility of a 10-year jail sentence. This if you lie on your form as you come into the UK, if you lie about perhaps having been to one of those countries that are on the red list. Mostly those countries are in South America, in Africa, including South Africa, but also from Portugal. And there has been a lot of criticism of the government for that 10-year prison term suggestion. Both a former Supreme Court Justice and a former Attorney General here in the UK saying that 10-year sentence just goes too far. There are much worse crimes that don't receive that long a jail sentence, and they have sort of said and criticised the government for just using it as a scare tactic.
And what does this mean, Emma, in terms of lifting lockdown restrictions? As you mentioned, there's been a lot of conflicting reports about what's going to happen. What does this new news mean for the country?
This new news, particularly with regard to quarantine, is really focused on preventing some of those new variants from entering the UK in large numbers. Of course, the focus has largely been on the South African variant, which has already been detected in the UK, but in quite small numbers, the number of known cases below 150, and the government trying to take quite aggressive action by going door to door in the postcodes or zip codes where those cases have been found to test people to find out if they can find any more of those particular of the South African variant COVID case. So that's what those restrictions really focus on at the moment. With regard to easing restrictions, as the UK is still in its third lockdown, the Prime Minister due to give an update on that later this month, around the 22nd of February. We've heard a lot of positive news from the Prime Minister and from the health bodies in the UK with regard to the vaccination campaign. That rollout still going very well. The hope is, of course, that schools would start to reopen at the beginning of next month, and we know that that might be in a staged manner. We don't have the full details of how they would do that, but largely the government has been saying as the vaccination campaign continues, we will see lockdown restrictions within the UK starting to lift, but in perhaps more of a phased way.
And finally, Emma, I mean, you talk about the vaccination campaign. How is the process going over there?
Excuse me, the vaccination campaign been going very well here in the UK. More than 15 million people now vaccinated. The expectation is that all those in the top 4 vulnerable groups will be vaccinated or have had at least their first shot of the vaccination by the 15th of February, which had been the government's initial target. Also hearing that they're expecting all over 50s to have been vaccinated by the spring. And then the expectation, of course, that other adults through the rest of the year will also be vaccinated. The UK, of course, having approved 3 different vaccinations using currently the Pfizer-BioNTech and the AstraZeneca-Oxford one, but also the Moderna vaccine has been approved here in the UK. It's just awaiting delivery of those vaccines for that to be included in the vaccination rollout.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quicktake now for insight in an instant.